Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Formula 4 with me, CRGGO George Morgan, back on your screen. So I got to say, I'm donning some neon lights here, folks. I got a brand new desk, a huge new setup. We're going places here at Formula 4. I'm glad to be joined by Iestyn. We're at Belgium, Iestyn, Spa-Francorchamps, legendary circuit.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, the setup wasn't sent down my end, so it couldn't happen down here, which is a bit of a shame after I saw it. But regardless, nonetheless, we're at Spa, and it should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and I got to say, what a phenomenal race we have in prospect as well. I've just been actually informed that it's going to be a dry qualifying and a wet race, folks, so do keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be seeing lots of action. Obviously, Iestyn still leading the championship. Absolutely scintillating stuff here. Of course, Iestyn, Iestyn, a Pot 2 driver, leading the Drivers' Championship. For how much longer is the question, because only a point back is Paulie Orange, one of the more, I suppose, consistent drivers of the field, always up there in the points, in the higher echelons of this classification. And behind him, Infamous Pillars, who has seen a recent spike of form that has enabled him to rise up to P3 in the championship and doing MTV proud, Iestyn.
Yeah, well, the top two are just being super consistent every week, turning up, getting themselves into a really good qualifying position, and they're doing well in races. So that's why those two are at the top. Pillars has shown some brilliant pace this season. They all came ahead at Hungary last time out, and hopefully we'll be able to see the same tonight.
Absolutely, and we're just watching now as Infamous Pillars makes his way around the next swinging right-hander. Of course, you've got a couple of S sections, some very, very famous corners here at Belgium. It's absolutely phenomenal, and dating right back through the years of Formula 1, we have seen phenomenal races from various years in certainly the series. It's been absolutely sensational, and as we now watch the MTV Motorsport car making its way around the double gauche bends, heading down towards Les Farniers. This, of course, being a double right, as such. We're just right on board with that man, Infamous Pillars, indeed, as he now rides his way round this next left-hander, round towards the next swing-in right, and that is where he's going to meet Campus, and now Stavolo comes round the next right-hander, really booming forward. Now, this MTV livery is absolutely stunning as well. Iestyn, certainly some lovely pink and black colours coming into play as he makes his way down towards Blanchimont, riding through the section down towards the final chicane. That, of course, being bus stop, braking just at the 100. He's slowing down slightly, preparing his car, ready for a fast lap. Iestyn, what can we expect, do you think, in terms of time?
I'm not too sure in terms of times, but these are going to be quick around this circuit. I think 39s, I believe, is somewhat quick. Maybe even in the 40s, and maybe some in the 41s as well.
No, I'm sure we'll see some excellent lap times. We've got plenty of outstanding drivers out on track. Of course, a full grid here as we now watch Infamous Pillars riding his way through this section of the track, making his way up this long straight, of course, being the Kemmel Straight, and very soon will be notching his way through Les Combes now, as you can now see him through the next right-hander. A very, very quick chicane, that indeed, coming round towards Malmedy. This, of course, being Malmedy now down towards what will be Bruxelles. They also say that this is No Name Corner, which is another name for it indeed. Very soon, double gauche bend round this next swing in left now. And doing extremely well here. Obviously, MTV could really benefit from a good outing here today. Currently in P3 in the championship, but not far off JCB. If they can get all four of their cars up into the top end, this could be absolutely huge for MTV, that's for sure, as he now makes his way through the next chicane section. He's got a Pulp Jaguar car dead in front of him as well, as he now rounds the next right-hander, chasing that Jaguar around the next right. That, of course, being Stavolo. Courbet Porfrere is next as well, soon to be Blanchimont, as he now makes his way down now. Pillars looking ever dynamic round the next left-hander. This, of course, being Blanchimont this time, down towards what will be the bus stop chicane, braking at the 100. Chazza goes into P1, nudge in the back of Paul Watson. Not ideal at all, and Pillars is going to have to box, but MTV on top spot for now, a 142.725, Iestyn.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment for Pillars, running into the back of the Jaguar there, which will, I'm certain he won't be happy with that one, as obviously he'll have to have a change of front wing now in the pit stop, and there's a set of tyres that will almost definitely be ruined. But Chazza tops the times at the moment. He's the only driver to set a lap time. There'll be others coming, hopefully, not so long.
Absolutely, and certainly we will be seeing hopefully some more attacking from the MTV team. Like I said, they do need it. Xerxes is out on a lap as well, and I Am Sloth 67 is down in P9 as well, looking to chase. Further down, of course, Pillars is going to be looking to fit a new front wing. Looking further down, Tall P's on a slowdown lap. The two Pulp Jaguar cars, in fact, that includes LPE, just running out wide to let another car through. I believe that's actually Energetic 6 who's out on a lap now as well in the BMW car. And just wondering if he ran it slightly wide there, which could obviously jeopardise his prospects of a fast lap. We've got quite a few cars out on track right now, only a few in the pits. LPE out lap as well, as we now see Droftas nailing down a fantastic time on the mediums, a 142.725. And in the context of things here, that is absolutely incredible. And Denge as well coming into play there for the Jaguar team, a 141.889. Very impressive by the Jaguar team, Iestyn.
Yeah, the lap times are coming down slowly but surely, and Denge is showing what he's got in that Jaguar by wiping the floor a little bit there. He's nearly a second faster than Energetic 6, who's gone P2, and some other drivers who have set a lap. As Blaze set a very uncompetitive 55.4. He's currently the slowest ones out of the lot at the moment, but the others just getting around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Certainly are. Just looking further down as well, Ramsel is out on track as well and making his way down the stretch. Yet to field a lap time. Energetic 6 is in P2 for BMW, a 142.704. Very, very acceptable, certainly landing him in the top end, but still nearly a second off Anden. Just an incredible lap time, and currently nowhere near being touched right now. It's actually 9/10 virtually of nearly a second, though you could say that. No, I'll say it probably nearly more 9/10, as we're now also seeing Paul Watson lining up a time of 144.087. Of course, the ever-improving Paul Watson looking to once again do a little bit here for Pulp Jaguar. Looking further down as well, plenty of other cars out on track. Xerxes, MTV Motorsport, certainly here in abundance in that familiar pink-coloured livery, making its way around the next right-hander. Total P's is out and about on track as well. Paulie Orange is in the pits, not yet being shown. Aylin, the championship leader, is also out on track, Iestyn.
Yeah, so you'll be looking for yet another good appearance this week, as he's about to start his lap, as he lets one of his teammates go by, and he'll be looking for yet another appearance in Q3, definitely.
Absolutely, and certainly pot 2, certainly not off the pace, that's for sure. Aylin has certainly proved that to you, as he now comes down towards La Source, just coming around that curve now. The Nintendo Racing team enjoying a very successful championship this year, and currently notching P1 in the Constructors' Championship, as we now see Aylin rising up through Eau Rouge now, heading up down the stretch, and or up the stretch, should I say, up towards what will be Les Combes. But first he's got to negotiate the very, very comprehensive Kemmel Straight as he comes up to it now. Les Combes in the distance, breaks just in between the 100 and the 50, coming through into the next left. Malmedy beckons now round this next right-hander, and very shortly down towards Bruxelles as well, or the corner with no name very shortly. And still on top, and Denge, 141.889, still yet to be beat. We now see Aylin make his way through the next left-hander. His teammate Glock out on track as well, who has really taken the league by storm, as we now see Aylin round the double gauche bends here, heading down towards Les Farnier. And certainly Team Nintendo looking for yet further damage upon this classification, looking to really impose themselves here amongst this field as they now make their way down towards the next right. This is Campus, heading down towards what will be now Stavolo, and as he does so, very smooth indeed round Paul Frere now, and very soon towards that left-hand bend under the Armco banner towards Blanchimont now. And as he does so, Aylin knows what he has to do. Can he put the Nintendo car in a very competitive spot here in Q1? Of course, eliminations in this first sector. Certainly the first 5 in jeopardy, as we now see Aylin out of bus stop, heading down the stretch past the paddock. What's it going to be? P2! A 142.564. Very nice indeed. And yet again proves why he's at the top end here at the moment, Iestyn.
Yeah, that lap will do him. He doesn't have to worry about anything for the rest of the session. That lap will do him a world of good in terms of confidence as well. That's a very good lap for Aylin. Obviously, no one's beaten Andenge. No one's got within half a second of Andenge yet. That was a blistering lap, but that's a good benchmark for the championship leader to set.
Yeah, well, let's ride on board with another imposing driver, currently lying P2 in the championship. Paulie Orange, only a point away from P1 glory in the driver's standings, making his way up through the Kemmel stretch here in the JCB livery. JCB currently lying second in the championship. It certainly has been particularly a fight between JCB and Nintendo, and of course their team made up of Droftas as well. That's their P1 driver. I've got to say, it's the story, really, of the P2, or the Pot 2 drivers, should I say, because both Aylin, Paulie Orange, Ps 1 and 2 in the title challenge, and currently in Pot 2 as well. So looking extremely favourable right now as makes his way around the double gauche bends. Indeed, Paulie Orange looking to set this field alight as well. Certainly Q1 very testing in its own right. Obviously it won't decide what the grid placings are, but at the same time it's a decisive factor as to who enters Q2, and of course that'll be vital in the prospects of getting into Q3, where of course you will get the deciding factor on where you'll start in the top 10. But as we now see, Paulie Orange round the next left, that familiar yellow livery of JCB rounded the next left now, and indeed as he makes his way down towards bus stop, what can Paulie Orange set now? It looks like it's going to be a reasonably quick time as Paulie Orange now past the paddock, looking to upset the field here, comes across the line, P2 goes ahead of Aylin there, and indeed knocks off near enough 0.2 of a second. Incredible stuff. Paulie Orange and JCB, P2 here in Q1.
Yeah, that will do nicely for the top 2, and those lap times should put them safely into the next part of qualifying, as Pillars and Glock are both out on laps now, as Matteo picks up a 5-place grid penalty for blocking out on track. I don't know where that has occurred or where that's happened, but there's a grid penalty for the Nintendo car, so we've got Glock and Pillars both on laps. Yeah,
I've got to say, very, very damning indeed, as we now see Glock make his way up through the long stretch, of course this being Kemmel. And got to say, it's going to be very interesting to see how this man gets on. Of course, a lot of history around Glock. He's notorious in the world of league racing, has been absolutely spectacular. And we've seen him before, of course, in the previous Ions of Formula 4, of course, FOR. Glock was one of the top guys in Formula Online racing, and once again he's come here to Formula 4 and looking to impose his class on this spectacular field, it must be said. 20 cars make this classification here at Formula 4, the Belgian Grand Prix. It's certainly going to be a very spicy encounter, our first visit here in Formula 4, as we now see Glock make his way around the next right-hander through the next left, that semi-chicane, very familiar indeed, round under the Armco banner, as Glock now makes his way around the next right-hander, and indeed trying to keep everything in the car right now, around the next right-hander, down towards Paul Frere, and very soon he'll be coming out around Blanchimont, and I've got to say, this red livery does look very imposing indeed. Aylin already in P3, can Glock notch himself on top here with 4.5 minutes left to go? Of course, it doesn't mean a huge amount in Q1, but certainly will send a message in amongst this classification as the Glock strikes once here at Belgium. Here he comes, P2, 141.845. Nintendo on P2, but infamous Pillars has landed himself on P1, Iestyn.
Pillars' lap was absolutely sensational, but Glock did that lap time on a set of medium tyres, which is brilliant. I'm amazed that he's managed to get that out of the medium tyres, and that is what we want to see with some of the quickest drivers setting the quickest laps early on.
That is absolutely unbelievable. The closest man on track on medium tyres is Paulie Orange, and he is over 0.5 of a second slower, or just about anyway. 0.5 separating Glock and Paulie Orange, both setting laps on medium tyres. Is that going to be the case here for Glock, that he can take his ball and send it home here at Belgium? That is the big question. Already on that medium compound, nestling himself a spectacular time. I'm almost lost for words here, Iestyn. Absolutely tremendous scenes. It's going to be a job for anyone to get close to that, surely.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be interesting in the future qualifying sessions, and obviously if the track does rubber up a little bit, we might see even quicker times than what we've seen right now, which will be fascinating to see.
Yeah, well, I got to say, we've got to look at the guys in the drop zone, of course. Ramsel out on an outlap, so is Blaze. Now, Blaze, a very, very good driver himself, and a former winner as well, so certainly not someone to be taken lightly, that's for sure, as we're now seeing iStream's YT making his way around the next right-hander. He, of course, yet to set a time, as well as Total Peas, who is also a fast driver on his day as well. Xerxes out on an outlap as well, and LPE, so plenty of drivers looking to escape that drop-down section, so it's going to get very spicy with 2.5 minutes left to go. And iStream's now trying to make his way through, down towards what will be the bus stop chicane. Here comes iStream's, doing his best to keep the car under control, round through the S section, up through towards past the paddock. Here comes iStream's. What can he nestle? It's a P10 position. An excellent move there from iStream's. 142.988. Very good indeed, and that'll keep him safe for the time being.
Yeah, good lap from Streams. He's obviously been knocked down to 11th now, which would be I don't think he'd want that to happen in Q2, but so it's a good lap.
Yeah, well, Paul Watson as well out on a fast lap as well. Though I think he's taking it steady. I think he's going to try and leave it to last minute. Of course, he's currently in jeopardy. Droftas out on a lap because he knows he's in jeopardy. He thinks he can go quicker on the medium compound. Bloomstar out as well. Plenty of cars out on track. Bloomstar actually going slowly, and that is actually going to be extremely punishing there for the JCB car. And he's going to need to get back on track and set a lap straight away. He's only got 1 minute and 20 seconds to get back. It'll be enough time for him to set another lap. Ramsel out on a lap as well. Let's see how the BMW car gets on as he now rounds the next left. Bobbing down the stretch now towards the next right-handed bend. And making his way through the S section, through Le Farnier, out through towards campus, and very soon to be Stavilo. I want to say a huge thank you as well, folks, for everyone joining us on the broadcast this evening. It truly is a pleasure to have everyone on board. I can see some comments in the chat as well. Ryan McLaughlin, evening all. Evening Ryan, of course, that's Glock, of course. X Gaming, let's go indeed, X Gaming. And of course we've got Droftas there, dry quality wet race. That is the format for today's session. And Gav is also in the chat as well. The boys are back. Quality grid, quality track. Let's do this. Awesome. Gav, it's a pleasure to have you here and watching this stream. Absolute pleasure indeed. Xerxes on track, but Ramsel unable to improve. I think he's going to be a casualty here in Q1 here, Iestyn.
As well as Bloomstar as well. So those two are definitely out. They won't be able to come out on track. So, yeah, Chewy is in the danger. He's the man that will be first out, so see if he can improve.
Absolutely, and Paul Watson is also out there as well, making his way up through towards the S section. Let's keep an eye on Chewy. We got 3 cars out on track in the drop zone right now. That's Chewy, Paul Watson, and Xerxes. So all 3 of them need to get a lap underway. Xerxes, the only man to not field a lap at all. And of course, the story at the top end is pretty clear right now. Infamous Pillars with a great lap indeed on softs. But the story is here today, folks. Glock 4495, medium tyres, a 141.845 as we now see Chewy lock up, heading around bus stop. But he's coming up towards the stretch, a little bit untidy, coming on the outside. But is it going to be enough? As he crosses the line, not enough. P16, and that is where he'll stay. Paul Watson is in the wall. So that's not ideal for Paul. He's going to be out of this session as well. Xerxes is out on track, currently trying to make his way back towards the line, but I think he's going to struggle as he makes his way around the next left-hander. He's doing all he can here as Xerxes, and certainly the MTV car is going to need to pack a punch here as he comes up towards bus stop. Is he going to be in with a chance here of getting himself out of the drop zone, through the next chicane, out on the main straight? Here comes Xerxes. Is it going to be a good time? I think he's going to just miss out. He is, only by a moment. He goes ahead of Ramsel, but he stays in the bottom 5. That is your story, folks. Chewy, Paul Watson, Bloomstar, Xerxes, and Ramsel all out in Q1, Iestyn.
Yeah, so someone that would be very fortunate is Sloth in P15, but he retired the car out on track at some point during the session, so I don't think he'll be back for Q2, but disappointment for Chewy out of Q1, which will be a big blow for Nintendo.
Absolutely, huge blow indeed. Not ideal at all, and certainly does raise a lot of eyebrows into how they are performing here at Spa. I mean, naturally, different teams have different strengths. There's certain drivers that are far more practiced, I think, at certain, well, certainly at certain tracks. And Spa is definitely one of those special ones because, of course, you've got to have the ability to handle the car. You've got to have the ability to handle the track. And certainly, more of all, I mean, you've got to really hit your apexes. That is the key thing about this circuit. And certainly, you can imagine that Glock certainly has that in his locker. Medium tyres, and at a time like that, I just can't stop looking at it. 2 tenths clear of Paulie Orange. That is sensational.
It's a brilliant lap, and I can't stop thinking about it, really. It was sensational.
Yeah, brilliant to see. Brilliant to see indeed. And will certainly bode well as we head into the next session of qualifying, of course. We've got Q2 heading up very shortly, folks, as we now see Xerxes make his way down through the stretch. I don't think he'll be able to improve because he set his time. So I think he's just taken a trip around the track, a little bit of practice for Xerxes there. And Chazza, indeed, he's in the chat. He's saying, I'll take a lap. I'll take that lap on the mediums. Chazza very happy with his performance on the medium compound. Certainly, he is still up there for dancing. Xerxes P19 though, and that is where he'll stay. We'll run through the classifications, folks, and without question, Infamous Pillars topping Q1 here with a 141.790. Glock in behind as well. What a sensational lap there by the English driver in P3, and Denge after nailing a lap first off. Paulie Orange P4, Aylan P5, Total Peace P6, Chazza P7, great lap indeed. Blaze in P8. Droftas P9, Energetic 6 P10, All Shot Down P11, LP P12, Matteo P13, Streams P14, P15, I am Sloth, and eliminated is Chewy, Paul Watson, Bloomstar, Xerxes, and Ramsel. But I gotta say, Iestyn, phenomenal laps to see there. Who are your eye catchers from Q1?
Glock and Pillars, obviously, because they were absolutely flying. Someone that did the opposite. Did the Matteo, who's got a penalty for his troubles, and Q2's underway.
Absolutely, we are looking at Q2 now, and of course, if anything, the Q1, I've got to say, if it's anything like Q1, of course, we'll expect some big things from the likes of Glock. That's for sure. I've got to say, very impressive indeed. And it's excellent to see, of course, and that is the type of racing we want to see here at Formula 4 as we head out towards Q2 as well. And as you can see, the cars are now leaving the bays. I've got to say, X Game, insane tough track, and I've got to say, Chazza, no surprises that you're delighted with that lap. Absolutely sensational performance heading around that section. Of course, Belgium is not an easy circuit, and certainly performing like that on medium tyres certainly does bode well for your race. And Total Peas is leaving the bay as well. Pop Jaguar currently P5 in the championship. Yesterday, what do they need to do to get off the bottom spot? Because it just has not gone their way, though they're only 8 points behind BMW at this stage.
There's some races where a few drivers haven't turned up for Jaguar, which is obviously the few here tonight, and obviously they have to be consistent in qualifying sessions. In the races, they're quite okay, but qualifying is definitely a thing to work on.
Yeah, absolutely, and it certainly does test your mettle, certainly when it comes to racing, certainly here at Formula 4, where the grids are so sparse. We've got so many, or like a range of abilities here at this phenomenal league, and we certainly put a lot of effort and a lot of, certainly a lot of work into ensuring that it's competitive. And I've got to say, it's incredible to see some of the talents we have here at this moment in time. Of course, we've got the likes of Aylan, who currently lead in the championship. Paulie Orange has been sensational as well. A good lap by his standards on medium tyres. But Glock, you've got to say, one of the very key factors, of course, don't forget, he took over from Young Stinson in the Nintendo team. Young Stinson, of course, was bringing home the gold there for the Nintendo team, but Glock has since come in, and I've got to say, been a very positive influence on this classification, and certainly as we head through towards the rest of the championship, his experience is going to be absolutely vital, Iestyn, towards their championship prospects as well.
Glock has kind of just taken Stinson's job, really, and it's working quite well.
It is, absolutely. As we now see the team I got to say, the Jaguar team coming around now towards the next chicane, and I got to say, we've just having a look now, X-Gamer. You have to give each and every corner a good hammering. Am I right, Gio? Absolutely. You have to really give it a good going over. Words never spoken better. I got to say, X-Gaming, splendid knowledge there indeed. As we now see Total P's. Of course, we haven't seen much of Total P's this season. I understand he's had a few technical problems, but he's back with us here at Spa. And obviously, Iestyn, we talk a bit about Total P's. Of course, his season has been slightly hampered given the fact that he's been unable to take part. Currently on 57 points, so P12 in the championship. Have we yet to see the best from this guy? I think he has the ability to go far.
Well, he ended up on the podium last week after being knocked out in Q1 after an incident in that qualifying session, and so he's obviously got some sort of pace. So it should be interesting to see if we can see more of that pace in this qualifying session.
Absolutely. Well, he's just coming around Bruxelles now through towards the next left-hander, rubbing every curve indeed. And Total P's really taking Spa to task here on the medium tyres as well. And as we've seen already in qualifying, we've seen a lot of drivers handling the medium tyres extremely well indeed. Coming down towards what will be the next right-hander. This, of course, being the Le Farnier section, and very soon down towards Campus Corner. Now this corner as well, you can take a little bit of the little bit of the rub off the curb, and heading around Stavolo. Of course, lots of notorious names here as Glock lands on 141.027. I'm running out of superlatives for that man at the moment, yes. And he goes 9/10 quicker than infamous Pillars Ice Streams as well in P4. But Blaze marking a return with a 142.449. Here comes Total P's now through the final chicane at bus stop. What's he going to land on the mediums, of course? Very sensational tyre choice here in Q2. Of course, it'll be picked for the race. P4. He goes ahead of Blaze there, who was on the softs. And in behind as well, Ice Streams as well. And of course, Blaze is not something you want to mess with. But Pease lands a killer blow. 0.2 of a second quicker on medium tyres. And Chazza knocks above Blaze as well for MTV. Sensational stuff here, Iestyn.
Pease is only 1.2 seconds off Glock. And that's on a set of medium tyres, which is brilliant to see. And, well, Glock's lap is just something else. That is fantastic.
Well, I think you've got to say Glock is definitely a surefire favourite. He's gone for the throat anyway in terms of tyres, gone straight for the softs. He's not messing about. Glock is here for one thing and one thing only, and that is a race win. You do it at Spa. Lots of heritage here at this stunning Belgian circuit, and will certainly be a very, very vital trophy to his cabinet, or certainly to his locker at least, as Droftas now crawling up through Kemmel. I think on a slowdown lap, he's currently in P3. JCB, incidentally, currently P2 and 3 with Paulie Orange in P2. Looking further down, of course, we've got Energetic 6 currently in the pits. I Am Sloth is out on a lap. He's yet to field a time. And Den just tried to field one on the mediums. I think he had a shaky moment, though, 154.117. So he's currently at the tail end in, well, certainly considering the cars that have been out on lap times anyway. And Denge's time currently the weakest of the bunch, albeit on mediums. I don't think we've seen the last of him, but Total P's lap very, very good indeed. Very competitive, despite the varying pots that we've got in this championship. As we now see I Am Sloth now rounding the next right-hander. And of course, MTV currently with all three of their cars currently in as well. So do JCB. I don't think we've got many multi-casualties here in qualifying at the moment. I think Nintendo, everyone's got 3 cars in, haven't they, Iestyn?
I think that is correct. You obviously, there's 3 Nintendos in here. There's at least 2 BMWs. There's 3 Jags and there's 3 JCBs. So there's not just one driver carrying the flag. There's multiple drivers in this session, which is obviously good to see.
Yeah, of course, Q2 as well. Very, very paramount where it comes to losing teams, of course, because you can lose. Q2 is a funny session because you can lose more than one driver in one team in this session, because the threshold of quality in between the drivers starts to thin out quite drastically, and that is where you start to lose quite a few drivers from maybe even the same team. As we now see I Am Sloth coming across the line, and that's not a Sloth time. P7 at 142.447. Sensational on the softs, goes quicker than Blaze, who, bear in mind, very quick as well, and he also goes quicker than Matteo and LPE, who are on softs. and quicker than the likes of All Shot Down, and not to mention Denge, of course. And looking further down, we've got Iestyn currently in the pits, Energetic 6 at the back as well, still in the pits, so still plenty of answers for the top end. I gotta say, Iestyn, it's hard to call. 7 minutes 20 seconds to go. There's no real eye catchers apart from Glock's lap time that can really say, you know, you're for sure going through. But I think if you, as long as you're in the 141s, I think you're in with a good shout.
You might have to be even quicker than into the 41s. So you might have to be into the mid to low 41s, because obviously depends what the track wants and what it's up to. And obviously the way that these drivers are setting some really good lap times. P's out on another set of mediums, which is interesting. I think those are the same ones. And yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens in the rest of the session with championship leader Iestyn still yet to set a lap.
Yeah, waiting for the track to warm up, I can imagine. And obviously, when it's at its optimal temperature, that is where you can see a lot of the lap times coming through. And just looking now, we're now seeing Total P's coming around the next right-hander. Indeed, he got double right. And as you can quite rightly see, Droftas adding in some knowledge in this chat. Of course, the medium laps will be soft by the end. Wet starts are no benefit to using mediums in Q2. Very, very wise words there from the Newportonian. And as we now see, Total P's coming out on his outlap, and he's got a Nintendo car by the looks of it out as well. That looks like Glock to me. And Glock is looking to improve once again, unless that's a practice lap. He's got a fresh pair of softs on, so he's looking to break the 140s here, Iestyn. And I've got to say, based on what we've already seen, I think that's doable from Glock.
Yeah, if he doesn't do it, I'll be amazed. Obviously, he could easily invalid his lap time at some point of the circuit, but the way he's going, there shouldn't be a problem.
No, well, he's on his hot lap now, and he's making his way up towards Les Combes, so we'll keep an eye now on Glock as he comes up now through the next S section, right through Les Combes now, brushing the left curb, heading round towards Melmedi now, brushing that corner again. He's hitting every apex once again. Here's Glock, and certainly looking to lay down another heavy foundation to already a superb lap time as he comes round towards the next left-hander, again hitting the curbs like anything right now, down towards the next double gauche bends, and indeed just sweeps the car around in such a neat fashion. The pace still being maintained here by Glock and the Nintendo team around the next right-hander, that of course being Les Farnier section now, through the next left, down towards campus, and of course once again hitting the curbs on the inset, coming out of it quick, looking good, round Stavelo now, and Glock really looking to lay down the hammer, that's for sure. Down towards Paul Frere, through Blanchimont, and very soon down towards the bus stop chicane, through Blanchimont now. And you can see the stands in the distance, the crowds watching in expectation. Can Glock break the 140s? He's gone close already before, 141.027 to beat. Is he going to lay down a heavier lap time? Here comes Glock across the line, a 140.973. Sensational on new softs. Only a little bit of improvement, but surely a fail-safe. A 140.973 to beat. Glock P1.
Well, I hope he's got more pace on the bank for qualifying 3, otherwise I'll be disappointed. Obviously the crowd in the stands, which looks very unrealistic with the current climate we're all living in, is must have enjoyed that one.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine the people in the live chat as well were enjoying that particular lap time. Sensational from Glock 4495, and that's exactly what we've come to expect from that man. Certainly his reputation precedes him, and he's come here to Formula 4 and put Nintendo on a whole other spectrum here at Spa, which is great to see. And we're now seeing Chazza coming down on softs as well, and Chazza, fresh from a great start for himself, certainly where it came to qualifying in Q1. He certainly did show a good level of tenacity. Now coming out of bus stop, what's he going to nail for the MTV team? Up across the line, and Chaz will go quickest, going ahead of Total P's. A 142.029, very, very respectable there, Iestyn.
Yeah, that could be a lap worthy of a place in Q3. Obviously, just to the benchmark of the outside the 41s. Obviously, there's still a couple of people to set laps, and that could be close.
It certainly could. Another man who's out and about now is Iestyn. He's on his outlap and looking to nail a good heavy lap time on those soft tyres. There's only one thing he's interested in, and that's getting into Q3. And you've got to praise Iestyn's consistency, and that is what's landed him up on top spot. And he's tasted success this season, and certainly I'd imagine that success will not be far around the corner again. It's just Spa is such a place where not only do you need raw speed, but consistency is ever so vital, certainly given the danger of the corners, because it's just so vital, isn't it, Iestyn? You've got to have a consistent driver behind the wheel of the car.
As well as setups as well. And obviously, if you're thinking of a wet race, you might have some drivers opting for the wet setup, and obviously some corners around here you have to be very committed with the car just to get it right, and you have to have a good driver behind it to make sure you get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Just incidentally, the top 4 all retiring from the session, so they're all happy with their lap times. That is really interesting, as we now see Iestyn making his way up through the Eau Rouge section, now heading up through the long straight towards Kemmel, and the Nintendo team looking to notch another car here in the top 10 of the classifications. Currently only Glock is the sole Nintendo car in the top 10 here in Q2. So Matteo in with a chance as well. He's not far away. He's currently out on fresh softs. So as we come down towards the final minute of Q2, squeaky bum time here in Q2, folks. And we're just about to watch Iestyn now make his way through the next left-hander. And Total P's has retired from the session as well, so that's P6 and 7. A lot of drivers throwing caution to the wind here. I'm actually quite curious as to why P's has started on mediums, because of course they're going to be pretty much useless come the start of the race, because the weather, as Droftas said before earlier in the chat, bodes itself towards the wetter compounded tyres, because we are expecting a wet race here, Iestyn.
Obviously he could have might want to keep an extra set of softs for the next part of qualifying, obviously if he gets through, which should be fine now, as only Iestyn's the only driver who hasn't set a lap time, with many other drivers in fact retiring outside the top 10. Let's see what Iestyn can do.
Yeah, well, Iestyn's just coming around bus stop now, up towards the main straight. Now, what's Iestyn going to be celebrating here with now? Is he going to land in the top 10? I'm sure he will. P8! A 142.360. Enough to get through, at least for now. But plenty of drivers still out on hot laps. Don't forget Andenge, because he's keen to get out as well. Currently sitting in the danger zone. Full pulp Jaguar. Now rounding through the next right-hander, and he's now down to P11, because Matteo, the other Nintendo car, up to P8. Nintendo currently have 3 drivers in the top 10, and looking up there as well, 2 MTV cars. I am Sloth with a chance to put 3 MTV cars, so this could really make an impact as to how many cars finish in the top 10 from each team here. It certainly is going to be a war of attrition here, folks, here in the dying minutes of qualifying. We're into extra time here, only time allocated enough for these drivers to finish whatever laps they're on, as we're now seeing Andenge come around the next right-hander. Iestyn is staying out. I don't think he's retiring just yet. Andenge coming down towards the next straight, and as he does so, he's going to have Blanchimont to deal with too, and looking ever solid here, Andenge. He always has been that sort of a driver as he comes around Blanchimont now down towards the bus stop chicane. He's very soon going to be braking now into the corner, just brushes the apex, down on the outside now, past the paddock. Here comes the Pulp Jaguar car, and Denge past the paddock here once again. P4, a 141.727, lands the Jaguar in the top 10. That's 2 Jaguars in the top 10 now. All that's left is Iestyn, and I Am Sloth. I Am Sloth comes across the line, cannot improve. P11, sorry. Iestyn coming round Blanchimont now as well, very shortly. I don't think he's setting a lap time. That is how we're going to finish here, folks. Nintendo, 3 cars heading into Q3.
Iestyn and Matteo survive by the skin of their teeth in this qualifying session. Just about gets in there by less than a tenth. Sloth was 9,000 down on his personal best, so that was very unfortunate for him, but he'll start P11. Obviously, they would have had the new tyres, but obviously the weather wanted to say hello. And Denge, a brilliant lap, puts himself P4. That's put himself as a bit of a dark horse for qualifying 3, so it should be very interesting to see what happens in the next qualifying session.
We certainly will. Currently Q2 has certainly given us lots to look forward to as Iestyn gets back into the garage any second now. And of course, we will read through the classifications of who stayed in and who's been eliminated from this Q2 session. And here they are indeed. Glock with another magnificent lap time with a 140. The only driver in the 140s with a 140.973. Sensational stuff from Glock. Paulie Orange P2. Draftass in P3. Dandench P4. Blaze in P5. Infamous Pillars P6. Chazza in P7. Total Ps P8. P9 for Matteo. And Iestyn snatching that P10 at the death. Eliminated was I Am Sloth LPE. All shut down. And iStreams. Not to mention Energetic 6. Not an ideal day indeed for those other than Nintendo, really, because Nintendo have come into it now with another man up their sleeves. They have got more drivers in the top 10 now at the start of the Grand Prix. Matteo's rise now has been absolutely phenomenal. Don't forget, he is top of the Pot 3 Championship. He's a Pot 3 driver, and he's going to be up there with the best as we head into Q3 here, Iestyn. What does that say about his talent?
It shows that he's quite a quick driver, actually, albeit in pot 3, which is obviously there's 2 pots between him and the very best. It shows that he isn't that slow, so it should be interesting to see how he gets on in qualifying 3.
It will be indeed. They're just about to head out now into Q3. The drivers currently in their pit bays waiting to go out. Unbelievable. Apparently we've just heard as well, Matteo has a 5-place grid penalty. Unfair indeed, but Cody's have stepped in there and snuffed that chance at him appearing in this classification. But you've got to give the man credit. Sensational qualifying session for him indeed to at least challenge the top end and land that Nintendo into Q3 territory. But heartbreaking knowing that he will not be able to take part in it. But Nintendo with a lot of intention there. And what does that mean in the race? Because certainly at Belgium, you've got to be a bit daring. At the same time, we spoke about consistency, but Nintendo seem to be bringing in some real quick drivers. They got Glock, they got Iestyn. Matteo now joining the fray.
Obviously unfortunate with his grid penalty, but he will still be able to take part in this qualifying session, which is brilliant to see. And it's very interesting, actually. He's gone out on this first set on a medium tyre, which is very interesting to see. I would expect to see the mediums in the final stages of qualifying, but he may as well use one up if he's run out of softs, and obviously the teams get an extra set of softs allocated to them if they get into the top 10. So Matteo might have run out of softs in Q2, and he's using the mediums for the start of Q3.
Yeah, well, what does this mean? I mean, obviously heading now into the Q3 part of the race, I mean, Matteo has got a bigger job on his hands. I mean, he could still finish in a very respectable position. If he finishes qualifying, of course, I can understand it being a big ask, but if he finishes in like P5, for example, he could still start in P10, which would certainly help him along the way. Interesting that he's starting out on the medium tyres. Maybe that's just to get his eye in, or maybe he's not too worried where he finishes. Of course, he doesn't really want to be touching that P10 section because that will force him down into P15. Which will certainly, it'll make all his hard work in Q2 pretty much null and void, which is not ideal. But I've got to say, his very presence in Q3, I'd imagine, is obviously at the same time not allowed one of the other drivers from the other teams to get into Q3. So you can sort of understand it on 2 different levels as to why Matteo has done the lap he did, certainly knowing he had a 5-place grid penalty. So I suppose you've got to give him a little bit of credit for that as well.
Yeah, he wants to get to his the best position possible, and obviously the penalty will affect that. So he wants to obviously try and go even better, and that lap to get him into Q3 was very good, even albeit at the expense of Sloth that who finished P11. But it should be interesting to see how Matteo gets along in this Q3.
Yeah, well, of course, Nintendo, the only team currently out on track, I believe, with 3 cars in the session, which is absolutely sensational work for them, and certainly a statement as to their season. That's for sure. There's a reason why they're currently Constructors Standings leaders, currently on 342 points. The gap is quite extravagant. JCB in P2, 289 after the last race. So absolutely sensational work by Nintendo. And Glock has certainly added another little bit of spice after taking over from Young Stinson. I mean, Nintendo have always had a strong team, certainly in Formula 4. So adding Glock into the equation after Young Stinson's unfortunate, well, of course he had to leave, of course, which was a real shame. I think he was disappointed himself that he wasn't able to continue his incredible work, because of course he had a couple of wins here at Formula 4, which was impressive. But certainly Glock, a very good acquisition for the Nintendo team, as Chazza nails a 141.845, goes quicker than his teammate Pillars, incidentally, by approximately a minuscule amount. I think that's probably, what, 3,000ths of a second? Absolutely sensational there, Iestyn.
Yeah, nothing much between those two. Blaze did set at 41.6. Pease is on pole with a 41.4. But here comes Glock. What can he do? It's going to be a 141.1. Obviously not as quick as we saw what he could do in Q2. But that's a very good benchmark for the rest of the field to try and beat.
Oh, that's only his that's his warm-up lap. That is, Iestyn. I can feel it now. That's his warm-up lap. Total P's in P2 and Denge in P4. So Pop Jaguar looking strong as well. Currently P2 Total P's and Denge P4. Droftas in P3. And all of them in the early 141s. Very minimal gaps in between them all, I've got to say. It's going to be a very, very close qualifying session indeed. The largest gap of the lot is in between, or certainly the first big major gap we can see is between Andenge and Blaze. And that's only by around a tenth of a second, which is absolutely sensational to be talking that is one of the, that is the real break in delta time in comparison to the top three, or the top four certainly. Amazing lap times indeed, as we now see Glock rushing round the next left-hander. Surely not looking to go quicker again, is he? Is he going to be looking to make safe the lap time? I mean, certainly he doesn't have to start on these soft tyres, so he can very much quite happily stay out and even nestle in a quicker time than what he's already set. Yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. I'm not sure what that's involved with. Iestyn, I can see a car crawling. Is that an MTV car in the distance?
That is...
I don't think it is, because they're in the pit lane. But there was a car crawling.
I believe it was... I can't tell. I can't get on board with this car. Oh. There's an MTV there, and I believe there's a Nintendo car there as well. But I'm not sure on the intent. It might be Glock, actually. Yeah, it's just Glock driving a bit slow, which is obviously not normal for him.
No, but it looked like to me that there was a car in front of Glock by the looks of it. It might have been Aylin, actually, his teammate, who was just coming through. He's boxing indeed, so maybe he just had a little moment coming through the double right-hander. He follows his teammate Glock into the pit lane, and certainly better laps ahead for the Nintendo team. Paulie Orange out on a quick lap and looking to get his second of the day in. I think this is his quick lap anyway. He has only just nestled in a 141.524, so maybe will jump back into the pit lane. I got a feeling he will do, as he now rounds through the next right-hander down through of course Paul Frere, and very shortly now through Blanchimont. And certainly the JCB team looking for an upturn in their fortunes. Indeed, they are going to be coming into the pit lane, I think, because he's got currently 140 to his name even before he hits bus stop. So he will be coming in. All the cars now in the pit lane. This will give us a chance, really, Iestyn, to sort of prepare ourselves for the last-minute rush, because I get a feeling that all these cars are going to be getting out of the pit boxes now for these final 4 minutes.
No one will be going for the gap, I believe, and it's a chance for us commentators to breathe a little bit before the last runs of qualifying 3. I'm still pretty puzzled about that yellow flag incident. I think there's an MTV car in front of Glock, and they just all conveyor belting on each other, and everyone was slowing down, and I think that's what caused it, but I'm not too sure on that one. But yeah, still with Matteo and Aylin yet to set laps. Obviously Matteo with that grid penalty, like we mentioned. Aylin is our championship leader, so he'll be looking to get a couple of places up on the leaderboards.
Certainly will be. Glock currently leading the way, not the championship. Iestyn leading the championship. Both Nintendo though, but Glock leading the classification here in Q3. This is the all-important one, folks. Of course, this is what decides where the drivers start for the race. Of course. Going through the nominal rules of Formula 1, of course, and looking right now, the Nintendo team have 2 drivers still yet to hit lap times, Matteo being one of them, Iestyn down in P10 as well, so plenty to talk about. And we're also hearing some comments there in support of Chazza. Droftas saying Chazza is smashing it. He certainly is. P7 currently. 141.845 ahead of Pillars, who's currently, literally, as we spoke before, about 3 thousandths of a second slower, which is amazing because Pillars is, of course, the pot 1 driver. Chazza in P4 in the pot 2 championship. So Chazza really overperforming here at Spa.
See, it could be a personal favourite track for Chazza, and it might not be one of the best for Pillars to be driving at. But obviously, you expect the pot 1 driver to be mainly in front, but we haven't seen that this evening. And, well, it's happened here with MTV.
Certainly has. And Nintendo are out on track now as well. Matteo, the first to leave the pit bays, the first to brave the circuit here at Spa. And making his way up through the next section. This, of course, being Les Combes. And he's just going to prepare the car. No need to really push it at this moment in time. Just needs to take it steady. Make sure that the tyres are up to optimal temperature. Not to mention the brakes. Every little thing is vital here at Spa, certainly, because the corners are, like I said before, so testing. And it does need a very steady eye, a careful hand, certainly to say the least, at this very famous circuit, I've got to say. Obviously, Grand Prix racing first held here in 1925. And this circuit length, 7.004 kilometers. That's 4.352 miles here of pure legendary racing circuit here. And Lewis Hamilton, of course, the last official race winner back in 2020. Feels like such a long time ago now, Iestyn. Now they're in 2021.
Yeah. I haven't clicked to the fact that I have to say last year in 2020 yet, as we're in the new year, and yeah, that's just something that I haven't got out of my head yet. We're in a new year. You have to remember that. Did
you enjoy your Christmas turkey or no?
Yes, it was very nice, and did enjoy my Christmas dinner, and yeah, it was nice to just chill. Obviously, you didn't have the amount of family members as you were, so obviously there's more food on the plate, which is a bit of a bonus. But yeah, so hopefully these drivers haven't had much too many pigs in blankets and actually jump in the Formula 1 cars, because you have to be a little slim to get into one of those, as the final qualifying laps are about to get underway.
Yeah, well, Matteo has already started his hot lap and he's heading up through Eau Rouge now. So let's stay on board with this charismatic man in the Nintendo car, just bombing his way up through the section now, past Radion into Kemmel now. He's on the Kemmel straight, heading up towards Les Combes. And very soon this Nintendo car donning a very, very smart helmet indeed to colour coordinate himself in with the livery of the car, coming out round towards Malmedy. And taking a lot of the curb there as well, heading down towards Bruxelles. You seem to see a lot of the drivers taking the Malmedy curve almost straight on. They seem to eat a lot of it up, almost as if they're taking it in a straight line as opposed to the actual bend. That's very interesting, but certainly very dangerous, because you can't get an invalidation round there, Iestyn.
I think that's what he's got with the as I've got my track map up, and it's lit up in red, so that will be the end of Matteo's qualifying session. As the back end,
he's lost it.
For a little spin.
Yeah, he has absolutely lost it there. Now he needs to stay clear, because of course Iestyn's yet to come through. Glock's out on the lap as well. And there's plenty of cars now making their way around the circuit. Glock now chasing Iestyn, of course, his fellow Nintendo teammate. Looking further down as well. Total P's out on the lap as well. These cars are all pretty much bunched up together. Not a lot between them. Droftas now making his way down towards the next right-hander, of course, making his way through Le Farnier and down towards Campus. Yellow flag's being lit up here. That's Matteo pulling by. So Droftas is probably going to be the first man to cross the line to nail a time here in Q3. So it's going to be a last gasp here And indeed, answers on a postcard, please, as to who you think is going to be in P1 for the start of the Grand Prix, as we now see Droftas going through, and oh my word, he goes wide as Blaze knocks himself up to P2 and Denj in P3. So a real mix-up in the classifications now, folks. Total P's to come down towards the line as well. Paulie Orange coming around the bus stop section indeed. The JCB car looking to notch himself on the top spot. Comes into P2 with a 141.207. Sensational, as we also now see Total P's joining the fray as well, looking to plant that Jaguar in a very respectable position. Can he mean it, green it? P1 for Total P's, a 141.010. Glock has crashed in the pit lane, and that means the Jaguar are going to be P1 at least for the time being. I think that's all she wrote, folks. Total P's marks the return to Spa with a sensational P1.
I cannot believe it. I was applauding on mic then when FaZe went across the line. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Glock was fuming with himself as he put her in the wall on the pit entry, but Total P's from absolutely nowhere, and he's put himself on pole.
Absolutely unbelievable scenes here at Formula 4. Total P's with a sensational lap, notching himself on top spot. That is all she wrote, folks. A 141.010. We didn't even break the 140s, and that is what settled it. Total P's a great lap time, and he'll start pole. Glock P2 just could not get it at the end, crashed in the pit lane, just did not work out. Paulie Orange P3, Blaze in P4, and Denj P5, Droftas P6. Chazza, another respectable lap once again, P7. Infamous Pillars behind his teammate Chazza in P8. Aylin finishing P9, current championship leader. A long way to go yet though. Matteo, of course, P10, did not settle a lap time, so he will get a 5-place grid penalty, and that'll put him in P15. But what an incredible qualifying there, Iestyn. I don't know how to put it into words, but what a corker of a lap by Total P's.
Everyone's favourite for pole, that was Glock. He didn't get pole. P's came from, like I said, absolutely nowhere, and he's somehow got himself on pole. I'd be wonder if he can keep that up in the rain.
Well, that is the question. Can he handle the wet weather? And I've got to say, you can see it. It's pouring down at the moment. We're currently seeing it on our screens here, folks. And we will be bringing you over for the race any second now. Of course, we'll have the formation lap first. Usual formalities here in Formula 4, of course, like many leagues you see on the Formula 1 platform. It is certainly going to be a very interesting race. And lots to talk about as well. Obviously, race conditions differ greatly from qualifying conditions. You could be a qualifying expert, doesn't necessarily mean you are a race expert. So let's see how Total P's fares off P1 at the start of the grid. It's a lot of pressure setting on that top spot there, Iestyn.
Obviously, clawed it back the last time out in Hungary from, I believe it was 17th to get himself on the podium. So he'll have far less cars in front of him this week, obviously, because he's on pole and he leads the formation lap.
He certainly does. They're just heading out now onto the formation lap, folks. You can see their Total P's leading the charge. The Pop Jaguar Team Green currently on top spot. Glock in P2, of course. Paulie Orange. And, of course, just a hat tip there to Matteo after a sensational series of qualifying sessions. He got himself into Q3 and very well deserved as well. A Pot 3 driver topping the Pot 3 championship as well. He's down in P15 after that 5-place grid penalty, but you got to give the man credit. He gave it his all, and I think deserves a little hat tip from us in the comms box, Iestyn.
Yeah, he did a good job. Unfortunate with his Q3 runs. I think his first run, he was letting Aylin go by, then Aylin invalid, which is a bit of a disappointment. And his last run, I believe he invalid himself, and then obviously went for the little spin. So, but credit to him, it was a very good qualifying session for the Nintendo car. But with that grid penalty, he's down in 15th.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Just incidentally, looking further down, Chazza, Pillars, and I Am Sloth, all MTV cars grouped very closely together, of course. Chazza, of course, beating his teammate Pillars, who, of course, Pillars pot 1 driver, Chazza pot 2. So Chazza overperforming to a certain extent. Further down, I Am Sloth in P10. So you've got all the MTV cars now. Thanks to the Mateo's grid penalty, it's allowed I Am Sloth to creep into the top 10. So it all pretty much turned around. What looked to be a grandiose performance from Nintendo now looks to be a grandiose performance from MTV's point of view. So could this be a vital factor to their performance here in this race? Because of course that points that they accrue could very likely send them above JCB.
Yeah, obviously it depends on the start that the 3 drivers get. Make sure they don't hit each other or anyone else on the grid. Maybe an advantage for someone like Mateo to start down in 15th. He might be able to avoid some incidents at turn 1 or maybe up the hill going through Eau Rouge and Radion. But should be a very exciting race ahead.
Certainly will be. I mean, now they're about to send their way, or make their way, should I say, up towards their grid positions. And of course, it'll be the first pedal to the metal, go, 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 go of 2021 here at Formula 4. Happy New Year to each and every single one of you. And I'm looking forward to bringing this one to you indeed. Total P's lining up on the grid. We're getting ready for the start of this Belgian Grand Prix, folks. Here we go. Keep it with us. It's going to be a corker. Very soon, the start of the race. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the 5th light! And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go! And indeed, Total P's leads the way, bolts from the start! Glock switches down the inside, down towards the source as we know right on board with P's. Looking further down, Glock just could not send the hammer home. He's in P2, Blaze as well, in P3, just chasing that of the Pod Jaguar car. The BMW man not leaving anything to chance. The Nintendo car in the midst of a little bit of a challenge in behind Paulie Orange, trying to find his way through as well for JCB. Though you can now see Blaze all over, swinging across in behind of Glock, who's managed to cut off any chance of an overtake. A very clean start. There was Pillars overtakes Droftas, battles at the start, but still, Pease leads the way, Iestyn.
Yeah, there's some scraps in the midfield with some obvious little bit of carnage going on in the back, with Streams picking up a penalty and falling down to the very back of the grid. Droftas is at an okay start. Pillars is up to P7. And mainly okay. It's quite close. It was 3 wide at one point, but they've all slotted in behind each other. And Bloomstar has been a good start from him in the JCB, from 17th to 12th, and LP's gone a little bit wide there. And maybe an opportunity for another position for the JCB going into the chicane, but he'll stay behind and keep his P12.
Yeah, well, incidentally, looking further up, Infamous Pillars in P7. Of course, Droftas has managed to almost slip by, I think. He's managed to maintain that P6. Pillars, though, leading a contingent of MTV cars. Now, remember, they did a similar thing at Monaco all that time ago, where they were in a very, very strong contingent. There's obviously some plans in behind there. Obviously, that's the predicted pit stop strategy below in the HUD, folks. Of course, the strategies have been thrown right up into question with the fact that the water's on the track. And indeed, here we go with Pillars challenging down the inside of Andej, and Andej got out wide, and Pillars slouching up the death as well, nails into P6. Chazza follows suit as well, Andej down to P8. The blue flags are raised. Do not listen to that, folks. Obviously, no blue flags at this stage, but Total P's leading the way, 7/10 of a second. The delta gap. Looking further down, Energetic 6 trying to challenge that of Matteo as well. Matteo has actually managed to gain a place, because remember, he started P15. He's now up to P14 and battling with Energetic 6. Still a lot of racing left to go here, as we're only in lap 3. The DRS that would usually become active would become active. Lap 3 of 22 here, Iestyn.
The only issue with Andej was the reason why he was so slow with the bus stop, that he lost the back end and went into the wall at Blanchimont, so that's why he was very slow going into the bus stop, and obviously lost out on many positions. Now he's down to P11, which would be a real shame for the Jaguar. But all looking good up in front. Everyone just nursing the cars in these intermediate conditions, and they're trying their best to keep themselves out the wall.
Yeah, well, Aylin as well, currently lying a 10th in behind, though I think that's the Deltas being a little bit confused, I think. Obviously, the timing tower is still trying to sort itself out. Iestyn is not leading the race, incidentally, folks. He's currently at the back of the grid. He does have a penalty, and I'm sure these times will certainly sort themselves out very, very shortly. You can now see the Nintendo car of Aylin just almost stealthily working his way around this Belgian circuit. He's got I Am Sloth there in behind the contingent, certainly himself, the MTV contingent, should we call them. The three string of cars there being led around by infamous pillars and in P6, 7 and 8. And MTV looking for a serious plethora of points here, which will certainly go a long way towards their championship standings. Remember, they want to try and leapfrog JCB in the championship, albeit though JCB with 2 cars in Ps4 and 5 is already total Ps in the pit lane. Now, is that a front wing issue there, Iestyn?
I'm not too sure on that one. I was looking at the Aylin battle, and it is a change of front wing for the Jaguar car. However, a retirement of the virtual safety car, so this has come out quite well for Ps, unfortunately, and Danger's pitting as well, so they'll both benefit just about from this VSC, and it turns out it's not that bad for Total Ps pitting for a new front wing, because the virtual safety car has kind of saved him of a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, Glock has managed to push his Delta gap up to nearly 2 seconds now under the VSC. So that'll certainly go a long way for him. Glock now with clean air heading around this Belgian circuit. We're currently at lap 3 of 22 still, folks. Blaze in P2. I think there might be a few issues, I think, with the timing tower at this moment in time. But BMW with a rapid recovery. Blaze up into P2 of the race. Paulie Orange in P3. Droftas just hugging in behind that of the JCB car. In behind him as well, we've got Total Infamous Pillars, Chazza and I Am Sloth as well, making up that 3-car MTV contingent as they now make their way around the double Gorsh bends. And you can now see that the gaps between them are starting to stagnate now. Not a lot in between them nonetheless. Though, Paulie Orange currently 8 tenths, now 9 tenths of a second off Blaze in P2. The gap is certainly shortening up between Aylin and I Am Sloth, though. Aylin looking to challenge the back of the MTV car. Now, remember, Aylin, like we said before, ever consistent here at Formula 4, and of course, the championship leader. Remember, consistency is rewarded just as much as speed, and as you can see, this Nintendo car really starting to earn that right now as he comes round the next right-hander, and indeed, he's got that MTV car set in his sights. I Am Sloth has broken away from Chazza. Currently 1.5 seconds the gap between him and his teammates, as we now see Aylin looking, having a little cheeky glance down the inside of that MTV car. No move can be made just yet, but they're rounding the bus stop chicane, and that Nintendo car is looking menacing here, Iestyn.
Yeah, Sloth had a bit of a moment to the exit of Stabilo, which won't help his confidence, but Aylin is not gonna go for the move at La Source. He thinks better of it. Hopefully he will get some into the top of the hill, because he really needs to get past this MTV car to break the train. There is the MTV team at the moment, and Aylin needs to get this move sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, that's not the only battle going on track, because LPE is stuck right behind Bloomstar. Remember, we just saw Bloomstar just finishing off an overtake heading down the paddock straight after the bus stop chicane. And indeed, Aylin and I Am Sloth doing battle here around Lake Com. And looks like there might have been a little argy-bargy heading around that sector as well, as we now see Aylin now marching his way up to P7, overtaking that of I Am Sloth. I Am Sloth refrains from an overtake heading around that Bruxelles section, heading around this very tricky swinging right-hander, and Aylin will keep the momentum and keep the position. Great driving indeed, ever consistent Aylin. Nintendo up yet another spot, and he finally splits that contingent of MTV cars.
Very brave for Aylin to do that round the outside, and it's paid off big time for him. Obviously up into P11. Pease is on a bit of a revival. He's back up into P14. Overtaking Paul, who's maybe a bit of a tactical swap there between the two Jaguar cars, and there's not much else going on. The gap between Paulie Orange and Blaze has closed a little bit, back down to 7 tenths. Glock is gone. He's 2.9 seconds in front and he looks to be controlling the opening of this race.
Yeah, Glock doing extremely well, following on from obviously that Q2 spell. We're now seeing Matteo, of course, who had that penalty after qualifying, is now marching up on Energetic 6, heading down towards bus stop. Energetic 6 trying to close off any chance of an overtake, but Matteo trying to go down, well, round the long way, should we say. If you can't go down the short way, try the long way, and he certainly gave it a go, but he could not make it stick as they head down past the paddock. Energetic 6 now leading that P11 position down through La Source, but he's got Matteo all over him here, and Energetic 6 has got a time penalty, so that will mean that Matteo will leapfrog him regardless if this stays the same at the end of the race. But still, remember, we're only in lap 5 of 22, long way to go here, folks, and it looks like that gap has now been brought out wider now, up to 0.8 of a second. But Matteo already showing that he's got that ever level of tenacity. He's already leapfrogged 3 places, so doing extremely well despite that penalty he received after qualifying.
Yeah, obviously one of them was because of Pease, who had to change his front wing. But Paulie Orange has definitely closed the gap, and there's a little bit of a train now occurring behind Blaze, and Pillars is just about on the back of it. So it should be interesting to see what happens as Ramsell picks up a 3-second time penalty for the track limit. And but there's a train behind Blaze, who's currently sitting in P2.
Yeah, 2 JCB cars making up the part of that train. Paulie Orange getting closer and closer to the rear end of Blaze. That was 0.4. It's now out to 0.6 though. So Blaze is keeping that JCB car at bay, at least for the time being. In behind, we can see Droftas currently in P4. And we're just keeping an eye on Paulie Orange as we speak, just rounding the next left-hander. And we're just looking in behind now. You can see this contingent of cars making their way down towards the bus stop chicane. Just look how closely bunched together they are indeed. This might open the door here for Paulie Orange. They head down towards turn 1. A little bit of a messy exit there from Blaze indeed as they head down towards the source. Paulie Orange with a move down the inside here for the JCB team and gets the job done indeed. The Energetic 6 has retired from the session. We have lost a BMW car. Not sure what the circumstances are, but a VSC has been unleashed across the circuit yet again. That's 2 DNFs we have had in the opening 6 laps. Absolute scenes here, Iestyn.
And that was very close from when the VSC was deployed and Paulie Orange getting the move done. There must have been nothing between the two cars, and that's come at a very good time for Paulie Orange. Actually, he can just chill. Glock, his lead has gone up to 5.5 seconds. Well, it's gone down now, but it was up to 5.5 seconds. So it shows how Blaze was kind of struggling a little bit under these intermediate conditions.
Yeah, well, in behind Droftas now with a chance to levy his way up through the classifications as well. While the VSC is on, Blaze having a very interesting move, and Matteo's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC, so he's really having trouble with authority right now, is Matteo. Not enjoying life under the stewards, to say the least, but the penalties have been dished out across the board. Droftas has got one, Pillars has got one, so I'm not sure where they came from. LPE has got one. Matteo, of course, now has one. Ramsell has one too. And Iestyn's had one from the start of the race. So the penalties really starting to be dripped out now. And Droftas would certainly not be happy at the fact that he has now been given that penalty. It'll certainly mean a lot, certainly the higher echelons of the classifications. Of course, Glock currently a distant memory from Paulie Orange. 5 seconds now, the delta gap. In behind as well, Blaze, who is now under some very, very severe pressure from that of Droftas, because in behind he's only half a second, and as they head down towards bus stop, that seems to be where these JCB cars are very, very prudent as they come down now towards the next chicane, and still Blaze in P3 closely being hunted down by Droftas, who now pits, and that is interesting. That is interesting. Are we seeing some dry weather, Iestyn, or is this a strategy, or is this a penalty? I'm not quite sure whether...
I believe this is a drive-through for the pair of them. They were both speeding under the VSC, so they both come in and taking the drive-through. Obviously, will cost them a lot of time, and they will be back down in P7 and 8 respectively. Yeah,
well, we're seeing as well Bloomstar out on medium tyres, which is very interesting. I'm not sure whether that was intentional, but he's just leaving the pit lane now, and he's out on mediums. Just looking further up, I think, are we seeing some drama here, Iestyn?
Well, Pillars got the move done, overtook the drop dash going up to Eau Rouge, then ran wide, which kind of compromised his run. I don't know if there was contact or not, but Pillars has dropped down to P9 with P's, who obviously got pole in this in the qualifying session, and he's right behind Pillars already.
Well, looking at this now, this very fascinating encounter, we have got Total P's currently handling the rear end of Infamous Pillars. Of course, Total P's, after that mesmeric performance at the Q3 session of qualifying, got himself on pole, but obviously, remember, had to get that wing change underway, and they all seem to be drifting over that line, heading around the double gauche bends, and that's opened the door for Infamous Pillars, who's just in behind LPE, and LPE has a penalty of his own here. The MTV car of Infamous Pillars separated from the two cars that he was riding in tandem with, and LPE with a late brake, and that has actually nudged the front end of Infamous Pillars. Has damage been sustained on that MTV car? If so, not ideal in these wet conditions. And bear in mind, Pillars has only just left the pit lane. He goes for a dynamic move on the inside here of Indeed. LPE gets it done, a nudge again from the back, and LPE forced to check himself because he very nearly wrecked himself. LPE stays on the track though, no dramas there. The drama's further afield because Total P's is there battling with Adam Pillars, heading on the outset now, down towards their commencement of lap 8 of 22. Here they come, wheel to wheel, but it's Infamous Pillars who makes a monkey of Total P's as they head through La Source. Ever tenacity there from Infamous Pillars, gets it done. P8 for that man in the MTV car, and that means now the Total P's is going to be chasing him up through Eau Rouge.
Very close racing, and Pillars, they both lost it, and Pillars goes round and into the wall. That is his race over. He's lost that front left, and this will be a full safety car deployed here at Spa, and this will bunch the entire field up, and maybe a good opportunity to pit for a new set of intermediate tyres. And we have a full safety car. There's a little bit of contact made between P's and Pillars, but Pillars lost it before the contact was made, in my opinion, and the safety car is out.
Yeah, well, I got to say, very, very good time for drivers to pit if they certainly have to. If you need a new front wing, now is the time. Alan currently in P5, 2.7 seconds, the distance between him and Chazza right now, and I gotta say, it is gonna be very, very, very interesting indeed to see where this goes. Obviously, only lap 8 of 22 here, folks. Whether this track is drying up, we're not so sure. It looked like the spray was being reduced off the surface, which would mean, of course, that the track is starting to witness a little bit of drying, which we will see. It was just interesting to see that Bloomstar ended up going onto the mediums. iStreams is out on the hards. I mean, what does this mean for the conditions of the track? Because it's interesting that these drivers are even going for these compounds, Iestyn.
Yeah, it still looks pretty damp on the screens, but the top two are pitted, so it should be interesting to see what they put in terms of tyres. Will they stick with the inters or will they go onto dry? So it looks kind of dry in the pit lane, which is very interesting. There's little pieces of water, but there's a set of mediums. Yeah, on the pair of them. The slick's going on Glock's car, and that means that the track is drying up. And now the racing is going to get interesting because the DRS will become active if the track dries up. Glock feeling a little bit tetchy in those new medium boots. And of course, they will get him to the end, which is the vital thing. And it just so happens the safety car has come out as soon as he leaves the pit lane. So it won't be long before these cars start bunching up. Paulie Orange going for the throat straight away and notching himself onto the softs. That might mean he'll have to make a second stop in behind Blaze as well, donning the mediums. So Glock and Blaze, I'd imagine, looking to go to the end here. Chazza on a set of softs himself, Aylin on mediums. So it's going to be interesting how these strategies work out, though I got to think that maybe Chazza and Orange have actually handicapped themselves for the end of this race, because bear in mind, we know Glock's pace, even on mediums. Do you really think that Orange's softs are going to be enough to do the damage here? All depends on how long the safety car is. Someone who's had a bit of unfortunate luck in the pit lane is Andenge. He was obviously, with this game, you're not allocated with another driver, so you could, for example, this example, we had Chewy in the Nintendo and Andenge in the Jaguar. They are teammates on the game, and Andenge has come into the pits for a set of dry tyres, and he has to wait for the Nintendo car to go by, which is kind of summed up Andenge's race so far. Hopefully, he'll have a better second half to the Grand Prix, even though he's stuck down in P12.
Well, this has worked out quite well for Total Ps, of course, who, if you remember, obviously our pole sitter, as we've discussed at length, obviously over this race, but obviously after lap 1, he had to get a new front wing, but he now sees himself in P7, back into the top 10 in the points, and he's ahead of Droftas, who, if you remember, he's got a penalty still, Droftas, so it's not going to be ideal for him if he takes that to the end of the race. Certainly Spa can throw up a lot of question marks, certainly when it comes to, I suppose, performances on track. It doesn't matter how quick you are, if you cannot manage the circuit, it will really, well, I got to say, you really need to manage the circuit. It is very, very tough. And Glock showing that he is the best of both right now. Paulie Orange in P2, currently 0.6 of a second. The safety car allowing these drivers to obviously congest up slightly. And that is when we'll start to see the battles being outlaid out on this magnificent circuit. Of course, the Jaguar team, they've got 3 cars currently. Iestyn in Ps 11, 12 and 13. I mean, points are accrued across this grid. But Jaguar stand in good stead. They could potentially finish in the top 10.
That would be brilliant for Jaguar. 3 cars in the top 10. We haven't really spoken about them at length so far, except for Andenge, where he's had some cruel luck, in fairness to him. But the other Jaguar drivers are doing a solid job, actually, all quite close to each other. And hopefully Paul can get out in front of Chewy, which he should. And it was interesting there, Chewy's already pitted, but he's coming again. I'm not too sure if that's a used set of mediums he's got on that car, which he used in qualifying. But oh no, it's a change of front wing, which will explain that pit stop.
Well, it's interesting because Chaza also pitted as well. He's now out on fresh medium tyres. So interesting to see that they've changed the compound from soft to medium. You have to wonder whether Paulie Orange made a slight error there with his choice of tyres, because getting those softs to the end is going to be a tricky business. And certainly, I'd imagine that the effectiveness of that tyre will probably die off around about lap 8, which will enable a lot of these cars on mediums to actually sort of group around him here. I mean, the way things are stamped out right now, Glock is going to be holding up Paulie Orange in a sense, because obviously the deltas still exist, the gaps in the performance of the tyres still exist. Despite, I don't care how good you are in race conditions, it will certainly still back up the classifications. And that'll allow certainly Blaze and Aylin, who of course, don't forget, who's currently in P4, to maybe have a go at the top end. Because remember, Aylin, championship leader, he really needs to finish ahead of Orange here today.
100%. It'd be a big win for Orange, even if his results would finish like this at the end of lap 22. And I think Orange just has to have a really good safety car restart. Wherever Glock does, definitely follow him and make sure you have an opportunity to go down his inside into turn 1. And I think we'll be staying out for 1 extra lap, which will obviously advantage Orange, because obviously it'll be less running in the race trim conditions. And hopefully for him, he can stay out. The safety car can stay out an extra lap. But for the rest of the field and ourselves, we want to see some racing, and hopefully we'll get it sooner rather than later.
I'm sure we will, as they make their way down towards the bus stop chicane. And still Glock, of course, leading the way. And he's spending a lot of time heating those tyres up. This, of course, has actually helped out all those drivers who are currently out on slicks right now, because it's allowed the track to dry up and give them a chance to race in proper dry conditions. So this has obviously helped out the guys on softs, because, of course, we did stipulate that maybe, or speculate, should I say, that these softs might not be able to make it to the end. But because the track is now drying up and we're now heading under another lap under the safety car, it's going to extend the tyre wear out a lot further on those softs. So very, very good news if you're a Paulie Orange fan or a Bloomstar fan who's also out on softs. In fact, as I say that, Bloomstar's coming to the pit lane. I'd imagine he's going to try and don a set of mediums, which is very interesting indeed. So we'll soon see how that works out for him. Just want to say again, thanks ever so much to everybody for joining us here tonight for the Belgian Grand Prix. And we're now seeing, actually, I think there might have been an incident there, because is Iron Sloth falling down the field there, Iestyn?
Yes, he's spun round. He's lost a chunk of his front wing, which which won't help him, which is a big blow for the MTV car, and obviously a bit unfortunate for Ramsdell there in the BMW. He couldn't get past, but obviously we're into safety car conditions, but he's ran wide there as Sloth looking to cut the chicane. Obviously we're back down in P17 and last, so you have to nurse that car all the way back to the pits with a broken front wing, and it's not a nice feeling when there's a lack of downforce on Formula 1 cars, and Sloth is experiencing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely heartbreaking for I Am Sloth there. Absolutely heartbreaking indeed. And MTV came into this with so much promise. He looked to be in very, very fine condition, especially on those fresh mediums. And that means, of course, there's been a twist at the top end. This, of course, means that there are now 3 Jaguar cars in the top 10. LPE and Andenge. Ps 9 and 10 respectively. Paul Watson, career best potential P11 on the cards here if he can keep it up to spec. Not to mention total Ps up in P5. Could be a splendid day for Jaguar as we now get confirmation the safety car is in this lap, Iestyn.
Yeah, so the Jaguar gang, 9th, 10th and 11th with Ps and P5, doing a very good job. That we all talked about MTV, but it's the Jaguar holding consistency at the moment. But the safety car comes in. Glock is technically the safety car, even though he is the race leader. He'll wait for the safety car to go into the pits as he is punching up the entire field. And I think Sloth will be joining the safety car in the pits for a new change of front wing.
Yeah, he certainly will. And of course, Glock is going to be the man who has to say so as to when they restart this race. If they come down towards bus stop, you can count your money on the fact that he's probably going to restart straight out of bus stop. And as he does so, the slingshot comes out and the hammer comes down. Indeed, still bunching them up is Glock as they rush down towards La Source. And here behind Paulie Orange as the restart gets underway. It is indeed Paulie Orange meeting Glock toe for toe on the soft tyres. And he needs to do that ASAP as they come on the outset of La Source. In behind Total Ps coming into challenge Aylin. We got a battle between the Nintendo and the Jaguar on the cards here potentially, but the focus has got to be on that P1 spot because Paulie Orange getting an excellent exit out of Eau Rouge and dominates down the outside of Glock as they make their way up the Camel Straight. They bash wheels, nip and tuck up towards what will be Les Combes, and indeed it looks like Glock has the better line heading into that chicane, but Paulie Orange, Everton Asti there from that man, JCB and Nintendo taking it home here today at Spa, nudging off. They're still going wheel to wheel, heading down through Bruxelles now, but it's Glock who maintains that P1 spot. Sensational racing from those two as we see another battle between Blaze and Total Ps. Blaze holds firm, but Ps with the switcheroo as they come on the outside down towards what will be the double gorge bends. Oh my word, Ps with a crunching effort down the inside. Sensational driving there. P3 for Total Ps and Jaguar. What a restart there, Iestyn.
Well, that's one way to get back into the racing spirit. Glock and Orange going side by side. They're still quite close to each other. A brilliant restart for Ps, who's up into P3, and he'll be looking to keep a nice gap just in case of any penalties for the top 2 up ahead. And Orange is getting increasingly close here.
Yeah, not only that, Drofdas trying to swing his way up through this latter stage now. He's got Aylin dead in front of him here. Certainly the Nintendo car under convincing pressure. The JCB car, don't forget, Drofdas has a penalty, but that's not going to matter to him as he now comes down towards bus stop. Just leaves it there, doesn't want to jump in too early. Comes on the outset of the bus stop chicane, lap 13 of 22. We have only got 9 laps remaining here, folks. It's going to be a straight fist fight between all of these drivers. Paulie Orange once again in behind Glock, looking to once again throw it down on the Nintendo man as they come up towards Eau Rouge. Once again, he will have DRS as they head up through the main straight now, and Glock does not get a better exit than Paulie Orange. Once again, he switches left. A great move indeed by the JCB. We've been here before as the yellow car and the red car. Once again, it feels like just a lap ago we saw this as they head through Les Combes. Once again, is Glock going to be able to hold on wheel to wheel once again in tandem, but still Glock gets it done, holds on in mind. Paulie Orange looking to tag it back here. Is it going to be a late break? No, it's not. Glock holds on, but does he? Here comes Orange. He closes off the inside, does Glock. Wonderful driving. Paulie Orange, an error there from Paulie Orange, and that allows Total Ps through. The recovery from Total Ps has been phenomenal, and Paulie Orange relegated to P3. Incredible scenes, Iestyn. I cannot believe what I've just seen.
Very unfortunate for Orange there. It was like a little bit of contact, a slight loss of the back end. All shut down in other news as he's taking a bit of a spin as well as Sloth retires, and there's another safety car. So what we've just seen is going to be settled down for a little bit, and there's going to be a mad sprint to the end of this Grand Prix. I'd say you might see some drivers come into the pits. This obviously affected Glock last week, who kind of threw the race away by coming into the pits late on in Hungary. And Sloth retired, I believe, at Eau Rouge, which is, well, obviously a famous place for F1 League racers to have a retirement at. And this is absolutely brilliant, just we want to say. And Glock is pitting. So obviously, last week in Hungary, he did pit, and it did cost him the win, in fairness. And him and Orange both deciding it's a good idea to pit. And Pease is in the lead, and now championship leader. He started down in P9th. We haven't really talked about him at all this race. Well, and he's P2.
Absolutely sensational from Iestyn to recover the way he has. In fact, we've got two fairy tale stories here. Because remember, Total Pease suffered that real blow of an incident at the start of this race where he had to pit for a new front wing after an incident in lap 1 in this race. Remember, he started on pole. We've discussed it at length here at this race. But he's back on top. P1 for Total Pease and the Jaguar team. They're going to be delighted. In fact, they've got another 3 cars, all 4 cars in the top 10. Paul Watson for once again a career best of P7. Incredible. LPE as well up there as well. So Jaguar looking for yet again a phenomenal weekend of racing. And looking further down, Iestyn in P2, as we've discussed, the championship leader ahead of Paulie Orange. There is still a JCB car behind him, but it is that man Droftas in behind him as well. Chazza in P4 as well. He's the only remaining MTV car on the track. I Am Sloth's DNF means that him as well as Infamous Pillars and Xerxes are all out to the race. So it's all up to Chazza now to bring the points home for MTV. Absolutely incredible scenes here, Iestyn. I don't know what we're going to see towards the end, but have Glock and Paulie Orange made a big mistake pitting onto the softs at this time? Is it too little, too late here?
Well, only one thing to say to that. We'll find out, and I'll come back to that question at the end of this Grand Prix. But I just want to say a word to Andenge, who lost the back end of Blanchimont at the start of this race, and he went into the wall, had to have a change of front wing, and he's recovered to P5, which is very good to see. And so a Jaguar are in 1st, 5th, 6th and 7th, which is fun. I wasn't expecting that by the start of the day, and the way with MTV qualified, especially in the latter parts. And the way that this race was going, it looked good for MTV. But it's all turned now, and it looks like the day of a Jaguar as it stands.
Well, this means, Iestyn, and this is absolutely sensational. Jaguar currently bottom of the championship in the Constructors. They could go as high as 3rd here today with the results that they've got on the board. MTV and BMW, of course, BMW down in the bottom echelons of the table. You've got MTV with only 1 car in the race. And this is going to allow Jaguar here to get all the necessary points on board here today and march themselves up into P3. How unreal is that for a team that have certainly struggled this season? They haven't had it all their own way, but they've come here to Spa at the most historical of circuits, and they've got all 4 cars. Look at them warming their tyres up there. That green livery has never looked more confident if I've ever seen it all season. And I've got to say, you've got to give credit to the likes of LPE, to Paul Watson, both of them pot 3 and pot 4 drivers, and they're yet hugging the big major point section in the top 10. Sensational, Iestyn.
Yeah. To say, if someone had told me at the start of the evening that Jaguar would be in this position, I would have told you that some very interesting things, and things I will not repeat on stream. And well, somehow it's happened, and this is brilliant to see. But obviously, you got the likes of Glocks, Paulie Orange, Blaze, all behind, looking to ruin the Jaguar party on a new set of softs. So it should be very, very intriguing to see what will happen in the remaining few laps.
Yeah, well, Glock knows what he has to do, and I've got to say the pressure is heightened on that man. Of course, pitting in an advanced position. Remember, he was P1 until he went into the pit lane and took off those medium boots. And of course, you'd expect him to make light work of a lot of the field, given the tyre differences. Of course, these mediums have seen quite a few laps. But bear in mind, not only is it conserving the softs, it will also be conserving the medium tyres as well. And they will be a lot warmer, I would say, or a lot more race ready than those softs. So it'd be interesting to see how they respond. Of course, Glock has got his own issues in behind because he's still got Paulie Orange chasing his tail. And, you know, if Paulie Orange is sensible here, he might want to wait a few laps before he challenges Glock for a race position, because they're both going to have to march their way through this field, and it might be in Paulie Orange's interest to sort of follow Glock through the race here to sort of get himself up this classification. But the way things are stood out right now, amazing situation to be in for the Jaguar team, absolutely sensational, and they can certainly pat themselves on the back with a very well executed race. It certainly hasn't been easy for them, and as you can see, all the cars getting themselves ready to go. The safety car very shortly will be in for this lap, and Total P's will lead them around. Total P's in with a chance of redemption here after that incident at the start of the race. Can he secure this P1 finish? Aylin, our championship leader, can he maintain his lead at the top of the championship with a positive result? Or can Chazza do the unthinkable and march that MTV car into the higher echelons of the points? The only remaining MTV car as the gun goes off here. And indeed, Total P's getting an early getaway, and that has upset Droftas slightly because Chazza making a move on the outside, and the Nintendo car might have helped him out here. But indeed, Chazza, after a little nudge there, a little bit of competitiveness between him and Droftas, that's opened the door for Andage. Jaguar going for gold here, more points in the offering as they make their way around the source, and Andage with the advancement in the circuit. A bit of a shaky exit though, lands him in behind. Glock has already marched his way past Paul Watson. Andage once again tackling that of Chazza as they come through a Rouge, and as they do so, the slingshot is applied on Andage as they come out of the section. They're challenging each other and through the Kemmel stretch, and they're going wheel to wheel and through what will be Lincoln. And as you can see, Droftas as well doing battle with Aylin for that P2 spot, but it's getting nip and tuck here. Aylin gets pushed out wide, and Droftas succeeds. Here comes Andage. Oh, it's up there, and he's nearly lost it. Chazza into P4. Absolutely sensational, sees Iestyn. I have not seen a restart like that. And look at Glock, P5. Amazing recovery after that safety car. He's looking good on those soft tyres.
Well, Glock has definitely bursted the Jaguar balloon, overtaking the three of them in this opening lap, and he's right behind Chazza as well, so I wouldn't rule it out that he could potentially win this Grand Prix with the way that everyone else is battling. But Pease is 2.6 seconds out in front. He has controlled the restart very well here in Spa, and it's looking very good for the Jaguar to take the win.
Yeah, and Chazza is under all sorts of pressure here. We're now seeing Glock marching up on the rear end of this MTV car as they come round the next left-hander at Blanchimont now very shortly. And still Chazza holding his own, but is Glock going to find a move out of the bus stop? Is he going to be patient? No, he goes for the move on the inside, just literally brushes the wheel, and that's going to open the door for the Jaguar car of Andenge. He's trying to hug all over the rear end of Glock. Glock now looking for a move going into La Source. Will he go for it here? He knows he's got to get going because there's only a few laps remaining. A great move down the inside there from Glock, and that is his pace sewn up into one. He is a man on a mission. He's got Aylin in front of him now, but still Chazza's on his tail. Can Chazza get the tag back here as they come through into the Aru section? Still Glock maintains that advantage as they come through the DRS line now. It's still Chazza getting the slipstream here on an unfitting Glock now as they come down through Lake Com, but still, is he going to go for a late break? No, he's going to hold on. He's going to be patient. Very wise maneuver there indeed from that man. Unfortunately for Jaguar now, they see themselves down in Ps 9 and 10. They're getting eaten up by a lot of these soft cars, and Glock has made Paulie Orange a distant memory here, Iestyn. Paulie Orange not able to get the overtake on Andenge, and he's also got Chazza to deal with as well.
Yes, so obviously Glock is the winner to the restart, as he's blitzed the majority of the medium winners. He's only got a couple more until he reaches the lead. As he gets past Aylin there, that might have been a bit of tactical between the two Nintendo cars, but Glock moves himself into the podium places, and he's looking very good Yeah, but obviously he's got a penalty, which, as it stands, will send him back down to behind Chazer at least. There's still plenty of time for that to be changed.
Yeah, well, remember, Aylin's got to stay in front of Paulie Orange to at least hold on to the championship. Remember, Pillars is out of the race. He's in P3 of the championship. Droftas in P4 of the championship. But Droftas as well has got a penalty. Tall P's just nailed a fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres. So he is really going for it now. And he's currently 2.2 seconds ahead of Droftas. So he will collect the points here today if he stays where he is right now. And that will march him right up and above quite a few cars. Certainly place him in the top 10. But of course, we'll have to have a look at the classifications at the end to truly decipher as to where this result will place him here. Looking further down, and Denge now all over the back of Chazer, as we're now seeing Chazer being really drummed up upon here. The Jaguar car with all the advantage as they come up through towards the next right-hander into Lecom, and still they go wheel to wheel. Oh, they touch the Jaguar cars in the wall. The front wing has gone, and we've seen it before, certainly in Lecom, where they've come together, they've touched, and Jaguar, after looking so promising, very heartbreaking indeed, and Paul Watson himself is under pressure as well. He's got Matteo, who's making a dynamic recovery after, remember, he had that penalty at the start of the race that removed him from that situation where he was in the top 10. Paul Watson, though, an incredible drive, P10 so far with LPE in P8. So there's two Jaguar cars still in the top 10, so it's not a bad day for Jaguar to say the least. But looking further up, you've got this battle there raging on. Paulie Orange tried to drum down on Chazer, but I've got to say, we've only got 4 laps remaining here, folks. It's going to be a real humdinger as we come towards the end of this Belgian Grand Prix.
A whole lot better for Jaguar, but I think they'd have taken this at the start of the race. If Paul can hold out for P10, but he's got all shot down all over his gearbox, which is going to be very interesting to see if the BMW can get himself into the top 10. If Paul can hold out for this P10, I will be very impressed with the two Jaguars. Unlucky for Andenge there. I think he went for a bit too optimistic of a move down the inside of Lecombs, but which sent him to the spin. But he was very unlucky there.
Well, there certainly has been drama here at Spa as we're now seeing Paulie Orange make his way round now. You've got to look at Glock's time, 2 seconds off Droftas with only 3 laps left to go here at this Belgian circuit. Tall P's with a great advantage now. He knows he's got penalties in behind him as we're now seeing Paulie Orange trying to march up on Chazer now up through Lecom. He's dragging Blaze along with him as well. Remember, both of these guys on soft tyres now, making their way around Malmedy and down towards the next right-hander. That, of course, being Bruxelles. And we've got a string of cars here now looking to contest for this P5 spot. Blaze in behind as well. Remember, this man has been at the top end several times before, and BMW need the points here today. They've only got one man in the top 10, that of course being Blaze, as they come down towards the next left-hander. And I think Paul Watson has got a little bit of respite here, or should I say maybe not, because All Shot Down is challenging that of Paul Watson right now, and he hasn't got it all his own way right now as they come round through the Gorge bends. And still Paul holding on to P10, but he's going to be drummed up upon here. 0.3 of a second the delta time in between that of All Shot Down getting a little bit more into that bend there, into the Lefania bends, heading down towards campus now. Still Paul Watson holding on to that P10 spot. He's pushing that Jaguar everywhere around this track at this moment in time, determined to hold on to a top 10 spot, which looks so probable at this stage. Blaze has managed to dispatch Paulie Orange as well, so Paulie Orange having a nightmare here, Iestyn.
Yeah, so Paulie Orange has had a bit of a poor restart, in fairness to him, losing a couple of positions. All Shot Down and Ramsell, good news for Paul this. They've both got penalties of some capacity, so this will help Paul a little bit as Andenge picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. But well, Blaze is the next man to see if he can overtake Chazers. Paulie Orange picks up a penalty himself. That's not good news because he was set to jump Chazer at the end of this Grand Prix if the Grand Prix were to finish now. But Blaze is looking to get the move done for P5.
Yeah, well, they've just come out of Lake Com now, heading round Malmedy, and very soon to be rushing down towards Bruxelles. You can now see Blaze just really trying to drum on the back of Chazza after that sensational move on Paulie Orange, indeed. And Paulie Orange, after looking so promising, he was challenging Glock earlier on for that P1 spot, and we saw some incredible battles between those two, but it's all gone wrong here in the final few laps here at Spa, and we're now seeing Blaze trying to drum his car around the double gauche bends, down towards what will be Le Farnier now, round towards what will be Campus Corner very shortly, that right-hander that'll lead you down towards Stavilo, and you can now see Blaze really trying to push and drum up on the rear end of Chazza, but bear in mind, Paulie Orange is still there. He's only half a second behind, so there's still an opportunity here for Paulie Orange to push his way up through the classification, but Blaze is going to make sure that does not happen. He's 0.6 of a second in behind Chazza right now as they make their way down towards the bus stop chicane, and still Chazza for MTV, the sole MTV car remaining. This would be an incredible performance here from Chazza if he can hold on to this P5 spot, and if anything, he's gaining on Aylin here.
Yeah, so the gap's come down to about 1.3 seconds. Aylin is outside of Glock's penalties, which will be a bit of a relief for Glock, but a little bit of disappointment for Aylin actually, as he is the championship leader. All shot down did get the move on Paul for P10, but Paul, if he remains within 3 seconds, he will get into the top 10, and there's not much else going on, but Blaze is certainly closing in the gap. Will he go for a move? He will stay behind as they start the penultimate lap. Yeah, well, they're during the penultimate lap here at Spa.
Yeah, they are. Blaze looking menacing in P6. The BMW team watching on in anticipation. They've currently got 2 of their men in the top 10, all shot down, creeping into that P10 spot, overtaking Paul Watson, who is still within that 3-second delta window. Of course, that will help him certainly where it comes down to penalties, because remember, all shot down has got a 3-second time penalty at least. Blaze losing a little bit of time around the gauche bends, but he's still in the mix. Chazza driving a superb race here today, and Aylin's made a mistake. Aylin's made a mistake, and that's crucial because Orange in with a chance here now of claiming that P1 spot. He's just tucked in behind Aylin now, and Aylin's made a crucial error that has marched Chazza up into P4. Sensational there indeed, Iestyn.
Yeah, so that was something that we haven't really seen all season from our championship leader, but it's happened here tonight at Spa, and this is a brilliant opportunity for Paulie if he wants to get in front of his championship rival, but his penalty might affect him even if he does get an overtake done. And as they start the last lap of this Grand Prix, lap 22 out of 22, Paulie Orange sets a personal best in this Grand Prix for himself. But will he be able to overtake Aylin and extend 3 seconds due to his penalty? I'm not too sure on that one.
Yeah, well, don't forget, Droftas and Glock have a battle of their own on the cards here. Remember, they both have penalties, so a great chance for Glock now to get a P2. He is ahead of Chazza by a good number of seconds. Chaz has unfortunately picked up a penalty himself, so that will mean that he could end up forfeiting that P4 spot to Blaze, and not to mention that Aylin could be jumping ahead of him as well. So this could mean a huge split in the classifications here. They're going to be jumbled up after the race, folks. These penalties to be accrued, but we've got a fascinating encounter here between 3 cars: Chazza, Blaze and Aylin. Also Paulie Orange as well, making up a 4 as they make their way down towards the double gauche bends once again, but still Chazza leading this contingent round. Blaze doing all he can to try and keep the car on the track. He's got no penalties to his name, and in with a chance of jumping up into P4 as things stand. He's currently in P5, but trying to stay in behind the delta gap window from Chazza, that's for sure. As we're now seeing Total P's come around the next left-hander, he has been absolutely sensational. It did look like it was going to go his way after that pit stop into lap 1. He makes his way down towards the bus stop chicane. Sensational from this man. It's going to be a Jaguar day, because Total P's will win the Belgian Grand Prix. Sensational drive there from Total P's, and Droftas will come home in P2, overtaking, keeping that position from Glock. Chazza will finish in P6 after the penalty accrued. Blaze up into P4. Aylin stays ahead of his championship rival Paulie Orange, who only finished P7. P11. A great result from Chazza, though. It's got to be one of his best performances. MTV's only car left in the race, and he brings the points home for them. And a big hat tip to Paul Watson as well. His best position, I believe, to date. A great day, certainly for Jaguar. Holds off Chewy at the death. And looking further up as well, Matteo getting into the top 10 after losing that potential chance at getting into the top 10 after Q3, after that penalty, or that certainly that grid penalty choked him at the end. Looking further down, LPE in P9, all shot down P10. Of course, we said Paul Watson as well, but what a race, Iestyn. Absolutely sensational.
A phenomenal Grand Prix at a phenomenal circuit, and the driver of the day on the F1 game has gone to Ramsell. Well, he started last, and he's done well to get himself up to P12, so I can see why the game has given him driver of the day. But a brilliant drive from Total P's. He didn't look very good after that pit stop, but he has taken the win very well here tonight.
Certainly has, and I got to say, we'll just have a look through this classification because it was absolutely incredible to see. And there's your winner, Total P's. Jaguar have really come up with the goods here today, and that will really help them lift them off the bottom of the Constructors' Championship and leapfrogging BMW indeed. And you can see as well, there's the JCB team celebrating. That's, of course, Droftas finishing a very amicable P2. And also not forgetting Glock as well, who finished a very good P3. It didn't look like it was going to go his way either after he pitted onto the softs. But incredible, absolutely incredible stuff there. And these are the finalised positions. Total P's with a P1 with Droftas in P2, Glock in P3. A great drive indeed from Total P's. Gets Jaguar some much needed points here today. Blaze P4, Alan P5, championship leader, still staying ahead of Paulie Orange. Chazza in P6, Paulie Orange P7. Just did not go to plan. The last safety car killed it for him. Matteo in P8, LPE P9, all shot down P10. Paul Watson, an incredible P11, great drive. Chewy in P12, Ramsell P13, and Dench P14. Bloomstar finished P15. iStreams, of course, finished in P16. And then we had a string of DNFs. I Am Sloth, Infamous Pillars, Energetic 6, and Xerxes not completing. But what a great race, Iestyn. We were treated to some real high-octane fueled action. But the story has got to be incredible race from Jaguar. But 3 MTV cars DNFing out of the race. But Chazza picking up the crumbs.
Yeah, like we said in qualifying, it was looking like an MTV sort of night. But Jaguar came from nowhere to have a very good result. And obviously a disaster in the race for MTV. But Chazza did extremely well to pick up some sort of crumbs and get some points.
Absolutely. Well, we have, I'm pleased to say, we have got some interviewees in the comms box with us now, and we are joined by Total P's and Droftas. We'll start with Total P's, of course, because he did win this Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix. Sensational. Total P's, are you there?
Yep.
What a phenomenal race, my friend. It looked like it all went away from you at the start after that wing change, but you get it done at the end. An incredible race, lots of action, 3 safety cars. How do you sum that race up?
Crazy. I thought I got a good start, but I thought it was over by the end of lap 1 or 2, whenever, because I lost the rear. Because I got a bit too excited and decided to full throttle through a corner that shouldn't have been full throttle, and I thought it was over. I was just focusing on recovering. From then, the pace was good, and I managed to come back.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think that you would have a chance at that P1 spot? Because it to me, there were so many doubts rushing through people's minds. I mean, we had several different leaders right through the race. And it just seemed to me that the race was anybody's towards the end. I mean, how did it feel to get that place back at the end? Because you must have surely not expected it.
Yeah, no, I thought I could get maybe top 5 again after a recovery drive, get top 5, get some solid points. But I think I was helped by the safety cars as well, especially the second one, because I didn't think people were going to pit because there was going to be big fights if they did pit. But me and a few other guys stayed out, and I managed to hold up. And my pace was good on the dry stint, and I managed to finish the race first and get fastest lap.
Well, can't say fastest lap to boot. That's incredible. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a great day for Jaguar. Unfortunately, I think Andench had his own problems. There was a couple of incidents further back, but Paul Watson picking up a very valiant P11 as well. It looked like it was going to be a real Cinderella story for Jaguar here today. Just how's the mood in the camp? Are we looking to see yet more brilliant action from Jaguar? Because I believe that does lift you off the bottom of the table. That result.
Yeah, the mood's good. A couple of our drivers made a few mistakes, but overall we're confident that over the next few races we've got the pace to recover. Because obviously I missed quite a few races, but yeah, I think we're confident we can try to climb up the table. I don't know if we can reach the top with Nintendo, but we can always hope.
Well, still a lot of races left in the season. I want to say congratulations to you, Total P's. Splendid result, superb drive, and I'm sure we'll see you up there again. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll now move swiftly on over to Droftas, the Newportonian, joining us in the com box. A very, very good P2, and once again, I can't imagine you would have expected a tussle quite like that. But Droftas, welcome to the com box.
That was a bit mental, wasn't it?
It was a bit. 3 safety cars, lots of different leaders. Jaguar, all 4 of them in the top 10 for a brief moment. I got to say, after Total P's, wing change going into the pit lane, it looked pretty much question marks across the grid. No one knew who was going to win. To be honest, Glock looked like he was in pole position for it. I don't think we expected any of these finishes. Do you?
No, well, I was expecting. I wasn't expecting like P's anyone to come and change to softs, especially after last week at Hungary with the late safety car, people not being able to get through the field, which is why I stayed out this time. I got caught out last week, and I thought, no, not again. And luckily it paid off because, I managed to stay, kept the gap the same to P, so I had decent enough pace. I just had a stupid drive-through penalty mid-race, so that cost me.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I was scratching my head as well as Iestyn, I think, as well, watching Glock and Paulie Orange. I think it certainly seemed from my point of view that Paulie Orange was maybe just trying to follow Glock around the track, thinking that you can just stay in tow with him and maybe get the drag through back through the crowd of cars, but just didn't work out that way. Obviously, did you ever think? I mean, I know you accrued quite a few penalties yourself. It wasn't exactly an easy race for you. Did you ever think? Was there a doubt? Was there ever a thought in your mind that you could get a podium here today?
Not going into it, and not after qualifying. There's a lot of fast guys here, and it's not my fastest track. I'm all right here, but a bit of luck and a couple of safety cars dragging me back into it, and just being on the right tire at the right time helped massively.
Absolutely.
I'll take it all day long.
Well, I got to say, good points indeed for JCB. Of course, still a little bit off Nintendo, but seeing as a lot of their drivers didn't finish near enough the top end, that will allow you to accrue back some of the points. So we are going to be faced with another stiffer title challenge. But I've got to say, the battle at the bottom seems to be starting to develop now slowly. So do you think it's very likely we'll start seeing the likes of Jaguar, BMW? I got to say, MTV looked strong earlier on in the race. Do you think we're going to be yet challenged by more of the teams from the bottom heading into the latter part of the season?
I think throughout the whole season, there's going to be teams that are catching and pulling away from other teams, and then the gaps close again. It's just, that's what we've tried to create. We tried to create it so it's as close as possible, and so far it's proven to be.
Absolutely.
That's the plan anyway.
Well, it certainly has worked, and it's been a splendid watch, of course. And a little hat tip out there to Matteo as well after that incredible visit into Q3. Just could not quite get it into the top 10 after that grid penalty. But amazing to see some of the pot 3 and even the pot 4 drivers making their way into the top 10, because Paul Watson looked like he was on for a P10 finish at the end of that race. Just got tipped over by Allshot down at the very end. But great to see the slower guys improving.
Yeah, it is. And well, hopefully that they're all here to try and improve. They're all relatively clean guys that just want to get faster, so they're probably looking up thinking, I want to get into Q2 or I want to get into Q3, and they're just pushing that a little bit extra. So I'm hoping that by the end of the season, the gap between pot 1 and pot 4 will be shorter naturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where everybody just closes up. So
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's been good so far.
Well, we've certainly got plenty of racing left, and it's going to be interesting to see which way it swings because we've got lots of exciting tracks remaining. Of course, it's going to be interesting to say the least, but thank you ever so much for joining us, Droftas. Congratulations on another podium finish with that P2. Well done. Well, we'll now move on. Iestyn, of course, a fantastic race. Just summarise that for me. That was absolutely incredible to watch.
Well, there was a start. There was a few people losing front wings. There was a few overtakes. Then there was one VSC. Then there was a technical restart. Then there was another VSC. Then there was a safety car. Then there was some brilliant battling. And then there's another safety car. Then there's an even more battling. Then the checkered flag came out. Brilliant Grand Prix.
Absolutely brilliant. And that's exactly what we want to see in competitive racing. We want to see some drama, want to see some action, and we got all of it here tonight in Formula 4. I just want to say, folks, if you enjoyed that, I mean, I know a few of you did. Gav certainly enjoyed it, and I've got to say, it's great to see a very active chat indeed. Please make sure that you do leave a subscribe to the Formula 4 YouTube channel. Do join us every Monday night, of course. It's always been a pleasure to bring you all the action as well, and we'll look forward to many more thrilling races, thrilling encounters in this very, very unique setup for a league. It has been absolutely thrilling, and we'll look forward to next week. Iestyn, just to sort of get your summary on the season so far, what are your thoughts, judging from what you've seen?
It's been good. There's some quick drivers, obviously in the pot one. There's some pot two drivers, like we've seen Orange and Alan obviously both do very well. And it's been a good season. Hopefully, near the end, it'll be a bit more competitive, like what Droftas said, with the pot 4 drivers coming up a little bit. But on the whole, it's been good fun. I've enjoyed it.
Certainly has been, and we'll look forward to many more. But yes, I'd like to thank you ever so much for joining me in the com box. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we will meet again going into next week. So, folks, thanks ever so much for joining us here tonight. Please, like I said, leave a like and a subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video, or the stream, should I say. And if you want to get involved in Formula 4, please don't hesitate to join the Discord. You can. It's public. You can come in and speak to the drivers, stay in touch with the teams. If you want to reserve, you're more than welcome as well. We're always looking to bring new people into the league. But we'd like to thank every single one of you for joining us here tonight. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Have been gathering. You